The people who set up Jorvik as a major production center were no longer the freewheeling Viking warriors of legend. They were part of a machine, an ordered society and economy. York was symbolic of a profound change in the Viking world, one that would change the course of Viking destiny. For the Vikings were beginning to settle and trade not only in England, but in places much further afield. By the mid-9th century, the Vikings' journeys took them through Russia and the Ukraine, where they founded the cities of Novgorod and Kiev, onto the shores of the Black Sea, and even to Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. So successful were the Vikings' trading expeditions that many made fortunes. As Viking trading ventures grew, so the Vikings changed the shape and function of their ships. Viking warships were fast, sleek vessels designed for hit-and-run raiding. But Viking merchants needed something different, something that could carry heavy cargo. This is the Marine Archaeology Lab at the Viking Ship Museum in Roskilde, Denmark. It's here that archaeologist Jan Bill is discovering how big Viking ships were made.
What we're doing now right here at the workshop is that we're documenting one of the planks, one of the big planks from a large Viking ship, which was excavated here a few years ago. And it's a big one, about 36 meters long, so it has been a really large ship.
The planks Bill is examining come from one of 5 large Viking vessels found sunk in the nearby fjord, all dating back to the mid-11th century. Bill's colleagues are slowly piecing the ships together. It's a painstaking mix of forensic examination and conservation. After 1,000 years under the sea, the timbers are no longer timbers, but fragile wooden shells in need of special care.
It's very, very important that we keep those timbers wet all the time, because even though it looks like wood, really it's only 20 or 30 or 40% wood, and the rest is water.
The shape of the plank is crucial to Bill's work. He is using a highly accurate measuring technique to construct detailed models that illustrate the original carrying capacity of Viking cargo ships. By mapping out the planks, Bill has produced data which shows that some of the Roskilde ships could carry up to 24 tons of cargo, a phenomenal load for the time. In ships like these, Viking merchants crossed the Baltic Sea, carrying cargoes to and from their eastern markets. At some point on the journey, many Viking merchants would have paid a visit here, to the Swedish island of Gotland. Gotland straddled Viking trading routes to the east. It nestles in the heart of the Baltic Sea, midway between mainland Scandinavia and Poland. It's a comfortably affluent place today. But during the Viking Age, thanks to its strategic position, the island of Gotland was pretty much the richest place on Earth. For archaeologists, this Gotlandic archive contains a wealth of objects drawn from all over the Viking Age world. Brooches, jewelry, beads, combs, the list goes on. There are over 30,000 artifacts stored here. Like the English city of York, Gotland made its money through one thing: trade.
Gotland was a kind of a middleman in the Baltic Sea, trading with the east and the west, and changing goods from the west to the east. And it seems to be very good in making this kind of middleman business.
Such business netted enormous wealth. In the local museum, one exhibit is kept under lock and key 24 hours a day. They call this the treasure room, and it holds the proceeds from countless trading ventures made by Vikings to the east. Vast hoards of silver,
Most of the hoards from Viking Age are consisting of coins, mainly Arabic coins from the 9th to 11th century. There are also German coins, English coins, and besides coins you have bracelets and you also have these silver bars, raw material.
To date, archaeologists have recovered over 700 hoards of coins and jewelry on the island of Gotland. The most recent hoard weighed almost 70 kilos, around 150 pounds. That's a lot of silver.
If you put it together, I think that we must talk about tons of silver that has been deposited on the island. And it seems like every farm has at least one silver hoard, which is very, very much if you compare to other parts of Scandinavia.
Significantly, archaeologists found the hoards buried in the foundations of Gotlandic buildings. The Gotlanders, it seems, had a reason to hide their wealth. But why?
It looks like the hoards was not meant to be taken up again. At least I think so. Because we find them in houses, and it seems that they were deposited in one way or another, maybe as a kind of a sacrifice.
Evidence suggests the Gotlanders used their surplus silver as an appeal to the gods to bless their trading ventures. If so, it worked. Gotland remained a symbol of Viking trading wealth for over a century. Yet one group of Vikings was finding itself increasingly on the edge of this bonanza: the warriors. In this brave new world of trade, there were fewer opportunities for warrior clans geared up to pursue glory and adventure through acts of war. But some warriors were not prepared to hang up their swords just yet. Warriors grapple for their identity in the new culture. Do the inscriptions on the roadside stones shed light on the mystery and the secrets of the Viking warriors? National Geographic Channel's special presentation returns after this. We now return to Secrets of the Viking Warriors on the National Geographic Channel. By the mid-10th century, the Vikings had the world at their feet. But wealth and trade were beginning to cause a deep split within Viking society. The warriors who had triggered Viking expansion in the first place found themselves increasingly without a purpose. Traditionally, warrior cults had lived and trained together with one aim: to fight. Viking warriors relished war, but with nowhere left to conquer, they needed to carve out a new role for themselves. They did it in the East. In 988, the Byzantine Emperor Basil II invited a group of Vikings to join his army. The Vikings became known as the Varangian Guard.
The Byzantines used a lot of foreign troops in their armies. They actually had ethnic guard units, as they called them. And one reason was that they could be loyal to the emperor, whereas the native Greeks might not be.
Crucially, Basil paid the Vikings for their services. It marked a trend that had been going on for most of the 10th century. With nothing else to trade, Viking warriors were trading on their reputation. They were selling themselves as mercenaries. But mercenary service turned out to be a poor choice of careers. Matt Larson is an archaeologist. He's on the track of one Viking mercenary adventure that literally went too far. Scattered around the Swedish countryside are standing stones covered in strange inscriptions, runes. Runic is the written language of the Vikings. Larson is one of the few people who can still read it.
Kulla mid kuari. They raised this stone in memory of Onunthur, Anund, their father.
These runestones date from the mid-11th century. They tell the fateful story of a large and well-organized Viking expedition to the east.
He was dead in the east with Ingvar. So that's interesting.
The inscription reveals the expedition was led by a man named Ingvar, But where were Ingvar and his followers heading?
There are about 25 to 30 stones in Sweden raised in memory of men going with a chieftain called Ingvar.
Ingvar and his warriors clearly made an extraordinary journey, pushing deep into Asia. But what happened to them? A few kilometers away, another roadside stone yields further clues.
They raised this stone in memory of their father Gunlev. He was with Kari Tribin. So he was killed, that means. He went to the east with Ingvar and was killed. And that's a bit new information. He wasn't only dead there, but he was killed, and probably that means he was killed in the battle.
Ingvar's men had found work. Larsen believes they were hiring themselves out as mercenaries to local potentates. But the sheer number of rune stones dedicated to this one trip indicate that something went catastrophically wrong.